Greetings, this is Jim Lindsay. This is a CIS tutorial, and in this tutorial video I'm going to be talking to you about the process to buy a computer online, and not just a computer but computer components. And what I'll share with you is basically stuff that I've learned from doing it for the last 15 years. I'm going to talk to you about vendors that we used when I was a consultant before I was ever a teacher, as well as vendors that we've used since I've been at Western. And I hope you're going to get something out of this. I think you will. There's a lot of value to knowing how to build a computer online. And when I say that, what I mean is that there's a lot of value to going to a website like Dell.com, which is one of the things we're going to use, to build a machine that you think you would want. And even if you know you're going to go to a brick and mortar store to buy it, by going through that process of putting one together or picking out all the parts online, you're going to know what a good benchmark is for the price for that. So when you go to the store, if you put one together online for say $1,200 and you get to the store and it's $1,500, you're like, why is it so expensive? You know, something that's not right. And also, I can tell you because I also have worked as a salesman in at Staples at one point, and it was our policy was when somebody came in with a printout for a computer that we had in stock, if the online version of it was cheaper than what we sold it for, we would price match that. And so one, you're going to find out what a good price or what an approximate price should be, and then two, you may be able to take, if you want to buy it from a face-to-face salesperson, you can go in there and potentially get that savings. So lots of good reasons to know how to do this. You guys have learned all about hardware. You've learned about processors. You've learned about different storage components. You've learned about input and output. And so you are very ready to complete this this lesson, you know, for the purchasing process. So let's take a look at the scenario we're going to use in order to get you to learn this. I'm going to pretend that you are a graduate of the university. You've gotten your first job, and your first job is at a place called Initech, and this is all sort of just using names and places from a movie called Office Space, which is really funny. If you get a chance to watch Office Space, I encourage you to do it. It's not a kids movie. Don't watch it around little kids, but you know, as college students, you guys would really probably enjoy it. Makes fun of a lot of the stuff that happens in cubicle life when you're working in an office in cubicles and all of the crazy stuff that goes on. So these characters are based on Office Space. So you've gotten your job at Initech, and Peter Gibbons, the main character in Office Space, is now your boss, and he's giving you a tour of where you're going to be working. And when you get to your cubicle where you're going to be, you know, spending most of your time, he lets you know, hey, your computers are not here yet, and we're going to assume with your particular job, you do a lot of traveling, so there's a desktop machine as well as a laptop machine that you're going to need. In real life, what you'd probably do is you just have a laptop and you would put that on a docking station when you got back to the office. But because I want you to be able to build both types of machines, we're going to have you pretend you get a desktop and a laptop, and your total budget, I've given you a lot of money here, is $4,000. You really wouldn't need that much, but I want you to, it's going to help us by having you pick out specific components to give you a higher dollar amount. So we're going to say you get $4,000 for your budget. By the way, in one of my roles at doing IT consulting before working at Western, we supported law firms, and in the summer we would get, you know, summer associates which would come in. Essentially, they were first summer, second summer law students that had to do something over the summer at law firms to gain experience. And at our firm, the main firm where I worked, the summer students would come in and they worked like dogs. I mean, they were probably working 80 hours a week, at least. And it's just, I think it's just a form of professional hazing. You get in there and you're writing briefs and you're doing research and you're doing all sorts of just grunt work that has to get done as cases proceed. But one of the benefits that these associates got for their summer work is they got a computer. And so when they would first arrive, the main partner that was in charge of technology in that budget, he would say, "Hey, Jim, here's so-and-so, and we have a budget of $1,200 or $1,500 that they can use for their computers, help them get something." And so we'd sit down at something like Dell, which we're going to use in a minute, and go through this same process, put together a machine, and they could tailor it to what they would want, as long as it would meet the needs of the network that we had in place. And so that's what we're doing with you. I've given you a list of specific requirements you have to have in the machine. If you can get all these requirements met and still have money left over, if you want to get something else, great, do it. It's your $4,000 to spend, so if you come in under it, you're not going to get any of that money in cash, so spend it and get some good stuff. But that's the situation. What I would like for you to do is to build these two machines, a desktop and a laptop, and we'll get to how you do that in just a moment. But once you've created this, if you want to, you can email this to me, and I have an email address listed right here. And if you send me your shopping cart and you've done it right, and you basically have the two different computers, you're in budget, you have the components, at that point I'll give you some extra credit. And so I want to get your attention. I want you to do this, and I know that the best way to get your attention is to tie points to this. And so if you do this process and you do it correctly and you send me your cart at that particular email address right there, I will look at it. And this pains me to do it because I don't want to grade anything else, but I do want to get you to do this. And so that's how we can achieve this. So let's first look at some sites of where you make purchases from. So before we get into the details of and I'm going to walk you through one example of like this project here. But before we get into that, let me give you some general information about making purchases of hardware. And so to do that, I'm going to jump over to my browser. I have a couple of tabs pulled up already. And here's a site, and I'm just going to show you 4. Actually, I'm going to show you 5. And I have specific things that I'll give you examples from the 5. But there are many, many, many places that you could go to buy this equipment. These are just some of them. CDW is one of the primary places that we would buy equipment from when I was doing consulting work. And you'll see that there's a phone number up here, and we were a small business. I mean, we supported, I don't know, around 20 firms, something like that. There were 2 of us when I started working there. I think at this point the consulting firm is now up to over a dozen people. So it's really grown, and I'm sure that they have a lot more law firms and other people that they support. But at that point, we were pretty small, and so even as small as we were, we had a sales associate that worked specifically with us. We would call that number, and I would get to, and I don't remember the guy's name anymore. This was like 12 years ago, but I would call the guy and we say, "Hey, I have this, and this I need, and help me get this server put together." And what I like about CDW is this. CDW is a great place to go when you're trying to buy things from multiple vendors. Like in a moment, we're going to put something together at Dell.com, and that's a specific brand. And the choices I get at Dell.com are for Dell products, and that's very specific. I may want to look at different brands. Like I may want to see what HP has and what IBM has and what Acer has and what Dell has and compare those, right? So CDW is a place I can do that. So from this site, I'll just show you a quick way that you can go through and start to spec out or look for things from multiple different vendors as opposed to a single one. So I'm at the CDW site. I'll just click on this to refresh this view. And you'll see at the top of the page, they have products and there are drop-down menus. So I'm going to go to computers. I would just click on computers. And please bear in mind that these sites change often. I mean, and the Dell site is notorious for it. It's really hard to make a lesson for this lesson because the Dell.com interface changes so often that I could make a video now, and by next week, what you would see would look different. The guts of it are the same, but don't freak out if when you look at this, if something is slightly different, or if you decide a month from now you want to go to CDW or Dell.com and it doesn't look the same. I mean, that's probably going to happen. The main thing is just remember the process, and you can kind of work your way through it. So I clicked on hardware for computers, took me to here. Let's pretend I want to look for desktop computers. I'll select this one. You'll see there's a listing of all the different products that are there. And they sell just about everything. I mean, everything from cables to individual components to entire systems. And this is where it gets to be, you've got some different modes here that you can look at the page in. You could look at it in the guided mode, which is what we're looking at here. Or you could go to the advanced mode, which basically takes these categories and gives you expansion and collapse buttons. And I'm going to go with guided. But what you do is, let's say I'm interested in a particular type of processor, like whichever computer I get, I want it to have an Intel processor. So I'm going to come down here to an Intel Core i7 processor. I don't care who builds it, the whole box, but I want the processor to be from Intel, and I want it to be a Core i7. That's a really good processor, so I select that. And once I've made that selection, it takes a second, and then it puts that filter up here. And so all my selections are now, you see I'm down to 297 selections. Well, let's say I also want to have a clock speed for that thing really fast. So I want to say that I'm going to go 3.5 to 4 gigahertz for my processing, for my clock speed, for my processor. So when I make a selection, over here on the left under this guided view, it adds it and it changes my filter. And then I've got these different models which meet that particular set of criteria that I've identified. And we'll add one more just to make it a little bit smaller list. We'll go with more than 8 gigabytes of memory. That drops it down to a very manageable amount of choices. I have 4 choices at that point. I can start to compare these prices anywhere from this Asus at $1,255 down to this HP Elite Desk 800 at $1,639. And so then I can start to do comparisons of these. I can check these boxes here and go to comparison and take a look at how do these, how is this one better than that one, and so on. And so it lists some of it for you, like it's talking about video cards and things like that. So that's a process that you can go through to make selections. And again, you're going to have an agent that you can call if you want that. And in our cases, we worked with the agent primarily when we were putting together servers. And the agent was able to, or the sales representative was able to get me stuff from lots of different vendors. He had all sorts of relationships that he had put together through his experience at CDW and their inventory, and we got good deals. So I liked working with these people. Still have a coffee cup from CDW. So that's the process. There's the compare button. By the way, you click on that, and it'll show you the comparison of these particular models. So you can start to go through there and see the availability. So you'll see here, like you have to call for that one, and this one's available in so many days, and so on. So that's the CDW site. Now let me go to my next site. This is Crucial.com. You know how to use this. We walked through this in class when we were talking about memory. I just want to remind you about it. Again, Crucial.com. This is a really great site for buying memory. And I bought memory for Windows machines and Apple machines, and I bought memory for laptop computers and desktop computers, and I mean, they also sell solid state drives that you see right here. So very great site. They guarantee that what you buy is going to be compatible with your motherboard. If there's a problem with what they send you, you can send it back, and they will give you something else that they'll keep working with you till you find something that works. So if you're looking for memory, this is who I would recommend to you. If you're looking for computers from lots of different vendors, potentially, CDW is a good place to take a look. If you're just looking for parts, there's two different places I want to bring to your attention. There's one called newegg.com, and then there's another one called Tiger Direct. And so we've bought components in the information systems department from both of these vendors. Some of those machines that I had you guys work with in class, and I'll let you take apart, some of that stuff that we purchased came from vendors like these guys. We would buy the system unit, we would buy the motherboards, we would buy the processors, we'd buy all these different, so boxes and boxes and boxes would come in from multiple places, like Newegg and Tiger Direct. And these guys buy stuff from all over the place, and they have it in their warehouses and distribution centers, and then send it to us, just like Amazon. Amazon's another location for this, but Newegg and Tiger Direct are, they're kind of electronic-y, if you will, and that's not all they sell. But if you're going to be getting electronics, these are two different sites that are pretty good to work with. And then we would get our things in and we would put them together. So 4 different sites for 4 different purposes. Could you buy everything from one place? Maybe, but by having some options, you can maybe make better purchasing decisions. So that's some information for you about buying individual components, and then stuff from different vendors. Now let's get to Dell.com. I'm going to close Internet Explorer, and I'm going to work from Firefox for the remainder of this presentation. So in Firefox, I'm going to go to Dell.com, DELL.com. This is an American company, started back by Stephen Dell a long while ago. He was a really hardworking entrepreneurial guy. I believe that he got the company started by, he would build computers and then sell them out of the trunk of his car, be driving around, and he's down in Texas, and obviously the company has done very well, but they're in Austin. I believe their headquarters are in Austin still, but I like this company. I've bought computers from them for many years. Most of the computers I have are Dell computers for my that I bought personally. The Western computers that I have are Dell computers, with the exception of two. We got Toshibas one time, and we got Apple. I have an iMac that, and obviously that didn't come from Dell, but most of the computers I've used have been Dell, and I've been really pleased with these. But when you get here, this is what I want you to do. I want you to click on my account. And again, this interface can change often, so don't freak out if you see something a little bit different. What I want you to get to is where it says, my account, and you're basically having to log in. And you probably don't have an account, so what you're going to do is click on this link to create a Dell.com account. It doesn't cost you anything. You just basically fill out this information. And what this does for you, by creating an account, you're going to be able to save your shopping carts. And this is going to be a mechanism for you to be able to put together machines and then save them, and then you'll be able to do things like email them to me. I would uncheck that box, but please email me offers, because they will email you. So if you uncheck that, you put your information in there and complete the registration, you can then have an account. So I have an account though, so I'm just going to log in with my account. And so they say, hey, welcome back, Jim. So I've now created an account, I'm in the system, and now what I'm going to do is click on shop. And this is where it can get to where you are probably you may see something different at some point. But I've logged in, I click on shop, and it has different listings of different kinds of computers. I'm going to work with desktops first. I'm going to show you the process I'm going to go through. The process is very similar or it's identical for the laptops, but to get to the laptop interface, you would go through that link right there. So I'm going to click on desktop, and then it gives me a bunch of different desktop things here. I'm going to click on it where it says view all desktops and all-in-ones. Takes a second, and then it pops up this page right here. You may see a different page. What I'm about to show you is just one way to do this. Another very common interface that you're going to see for this is, I'm going to go from the home page here just to show you what this would look like. If you went straight to the home page and you clicked on for work and then clicked on desktops, you're going to see something that looks like this. And what I'm going to work with in a second looks kind of like this. It functions the same way, but don't freak out if you get to here and you want to put your machine together through this and then get to your shopping cart and then send it to me. Fine, go ahead, that's great. You don't have to do it the way that I'm going to show you in just a moment, but it's not unusual to to find different looks even within the Dell website, which I think is a weakness. I think that their website should be a lot easier to use, but that's the way it is. Okay, so from this interface for the desktop computers and all-in-ones, I'm going to try and put together the machine that you see listed here in the instruction set. It says your desktop computer is supposed to have this stuff. You're supposed to have this particular operating system, and you're supposed to have this kind of processor. And the reason I went with this processor is because it's a really great processor. It's very fast, and it's also expensive, and it's also the newest. And so by going with this one, it's going to limit your choices. And so by going with this, and you'll see like 16 gigs of RAM. That's a lot of RAM, and a terabyte hard drive. Try to add stuff in here that's going to make it so that the amount of choices you have are smaller, so it makes it easier for you to complete this project. So let me go back to my page, and you'll see as I click on things like this, like if I go to the processor, it gives me a drop down box which looks kind of like the thing you saw a second ago on that other page, but I want an Intel Core i7, so I'm going to click on that, and it tells me that, hey, I've got one thing selected in there. Great. And then you notice down here that the number of configurations is starting to reduce. If I go to operating system, I can go to Windows 8.1. Down to fewer things down here. Go to memory. How much memory do I want? I would like 16 gigabytes or more. You can never have too much RAM. Hard drive size, I'll bump that to 1 terabyte. Okay, with that done, as I start to come down here, you'll see that there are a couple of models available. And remember, I have to keep everything within $4,000, right, for my desktop and my laptop. And so going with that Alienware machine, I bet that's an awesome machine, but probably the graphics and stuff on there are just awesome. But I'm not going to have any money left over if I go with something like that, because I still have to get software, I still have to get a monitor, I still have to get a laptop. And so I'm going to go with this Inspiron Desktop 3000. Do you have to get this one? No. You put together the machine that you want. So I selected on it, and what you'll see is this screen where basically it tells me what I've already selected. And I could also go across here with accessories and service and things like that. But from here, what I want to do is just basically kind of work my way down the page, and you'll see like it's asking about a monitor. Well, the reason it's asking about a monitor is because this is a desktop machine, right? And it comes with this tower, but it doesn't come with a monitor. You have to buy that. And so if you've never bought a computer before, that may be something you didn't know. So you have to then pick out a monitor. So you click on this, and I told you in your instructions, hey, I want you to, let's say at Initech, you're going to do some sort of graphics work. And so I want you to get a great big monitor, a big 27-incher. And I want you to have a 3-year limited warranty on that monitor. Just in case something breaks, we want to be able to call these guys and say, hey, send me a new one, or fix this. And so as you look at these different choices, you then start to see information displayed over here in the upper left corner, about what you're hovering over. But you can find, different monitors. And this one, if it has the number, like the 27 or 24 or 23 or 22, That's talking about the size of it. And if you measure the size of a screen diagonally, so this Dell 27 monitor, as an example, is a 27-inch machine. If I click on that, it adds it to my price, and you'll see that it's now jumped up $279. And if I were to take that out, that drop my price by $279. And so I've made that selection, and now my total price is up to $1,079, right? So so I go on down here and I continue to make choices. You're going to need software, and I want to show this one to you. You click on this for office productivity software, and what I'm talking about here is Microsoft Office 2013. Some of you have purchased that, most of you haven't, but I want you to see how expensive this is. So I'm going to add Microsoft Office Professional to my machine, and look how it bumps the price up $330, like $379, I believe it was. It's like, what? That's a lot of money. So I'm up to $1,459 at this point. So there's more stuff that you want to get. That's primarily support. When we get down here to support, this is really important. And the reason I want you, and I want you to realize or think about how important this is, because if you're an accountant or you're a lawyer or you're a salesman or you're whatever your job is going to be, and you do a bunch of computer work, if your machine breaks, you're useless because you can't do anything. And having a really good support and warranty system in place is worth the money that you're going to pay, because if the machine breaks, you can get something to replace it ASAP and get you back on your feet so you're making money again. If you're not working and making money for the company, you're a liability, and you don't want to be a liability. So you'll see in the instruction set, it says, I want you to get a 3-year enhanced support plan as well as accidental damage coverage. And what that means is the enhanced support for 3 years, like we've got enhanced support right here. You could click on help at any point too. You click on that little help button, and it explains what these things are for you. But basically, if you have the enhanced support, if the machine has a problem, you can call the Dell support number, and then they're going to make you do a bunch of like diagnostic stuff. You're going to spend probably 2 hours on the phone trying to, well, did you unplug it, reboot it, do this, do that, let me log into it, through remote access, that kind of stuff. And it'll drive you crazy because you're like, I know it's broken, but they make you do that, and at a certain point they'll say, I think you're right, I think it's broken. We need to send a tech there to replace the hard drive or to replace this or replace that. And then with this kind of service, I'm going to click on this 3-year enhanced service. You'll see that my price has jumped. What happens is the next business day or within so many business days, somebody shows up at your place of business and they work on it. And so you don't have to box it up and send it off to somebody. Hopefully your office or your company is going to have 1 or 2 extra computers around, so that when somebody's breaks, you have something else you can use in the meantime till the techs show up from support and get it back on its feet for you. But we got that, and so on. So there's other things I want you to be looking at and getting, and I'm going to let you find those. So build that machine right there, and build this laptop right here. And you'll see it's interesting as you look at the i7 processors, for example, that the i7 for a desktop is in the 4th generation, and the i7 in the laptop is in the 5th generation. I don't know why, but that's where it is. And again, that's a nice laptop, man. You're talking about 16 gigs of RAM. Be nice if you even had more. But a big 17-inch screen. I like big laptops, and I know that I work with a laptop all the time, and so this laptop would be like a big, heavy laptop. Some of you are like MacBook Air people and stuff. This one would be a lot bigger than one of those. But I just kind of structured this homework assignment off of the kind of stuff I like. So that's what I'd like for you to get. So again, put the desktop and the laptop together, and then let's go back to, let's say I'm done. I'm going to go back to the Dell site here, and I can close that window. I'm going to add this to my cart. So let's say I have everything done. This is where it starts to ask me about, like, hey, do you want this accidental coverage? And I'm going to go with a 3-year advanced exchange warranty on this thing. And what that means is, like, confirm and add to the cart. I think I would need to redo that. I missed it. But basically, I wanted you guys to get like the 3-year accidental coverage on that. If you spilled a Coke on it, or if dogs running through the house and they run into the power cord and pull it off the table and they bust it, any kind of dumb thing that can happen with the accidental coverage clause, it's a little bit more money, but it covers you. So so good. So I've saved this. It's in my shopping cart. I know that because when I look at my shopping cart, there's a little 1 on top of it. When you're done with getting all of your stuff, your monitor, your desktop machine, and your laptop, this is going to have a 2 on it. So you click on your shopping cart if you want to see what's in it, and then you can view what's in your shopping cart. And you'll see, like in my case, because I just have the one thing here of my desktop machine and the monitor that goes with it. If I wanted to print that out, I can click on this view and print details. That might be something you have to do for your purchasing department or your boss or whatever. I say, hey, go put the machine together, print it out, let me take a look at it. Then they give you the blessing and allow you to go buy it. But that's the process. To print this, you would click on the print page. In my case, I want to email this, so I would click on email cart, and I would send this to, I want you guys to send it to me. So this is where you'd put in that Jim Lindsay and the numbers and the Gmail account, and put your name in here. Again, put your name in this box, please. So I'm going to put, this is John Doe from CIS 141, and I'll send that email. And so it sends the email, and I'm going to click on this button to save the cart and go back to here, and there you go. And so that's the process. So to get you looking at a purchasing website like Dell, we're going to do this project. If you want to do this, build your machine, make sure it meets these requirements, that your total for both computers is under $4,000, $4,000 or less, and then email it to me there. If you have questions, you can send me a question, send me an email and ask me a question. I will be offline pretty much most of Wednesday, but if you have Thursday, I'll get back online, but Wednesday I'm going to be away from computers. So if you have any questions, send those, and feel free to help each other. If you want to go and sit in a computer lab next to a buddy and you guys work on putting your machines together next to each other, that's fine. But I hope you will learn something and enjoy it, and thank you for your time and attention. Have a good day.